find that they must look at the same.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
Because I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying with us. You're watching Daybreak on Trust TV. It's time for us to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak now. We'll begin with the Daily Trust newspaper, as always. We have the story, the lead story that talks about, it has a kicker on Imo Kogi Bayelsa polls. It says, Uzodinma Ododo win as Diri maintains lead. It has the riders, opposition candidates, parties kick. Election rigged, but I won't waste my time in court, says SDP's Ajaka. You also have another rider there. PDP supporter killed. INEC officials abducted in Bayelsa. All that on page 4 and on page 12. Then you also have other stories above the lead story. Nigerian lawmakers most ridiculed, says Senate President Akpabio on page 13. Also, flights diversion, congestion at Abuja Airport over runway incursion. And that's also on page 35. Another story there, I will ensure National Assembly creates constitutional role for traditional rulers. That's according to President Bola Tinubu. You have the pictorial there showing you damages around the Shifa Hospital in Gaza City's Al-Rimal district. Gaza City in Palestinian territories. There, the aerial view of that scene. You also have below that grumbling over $54 million domestic airlines trapped fund on page 23. Beneath that, NNPC restores 275,000 barrels daily production on page 24. Without my actions, North would have been on fire, says Matawale on page 6. And then you have also lastly 5 killed in Shagamu Benin expressway crash. These are the main stories on Daily Trust newspaper front page.
Governorship election, the APC wins Imo Kogi and Diri Silver no fate today. This is the major story on the Daily Sun this morning. Uzodinma wins all 27 local government areas, scores 540,308 votes, and PDP and LP reject the result. The PDP leads in Bayelsa and INEC to hold fresh election in 59 Kogi polling units on Saturday. You'll find all the stories on page 6 and 28. Below the pictorial there, we see Jam Loud's Senate's probe of admission racketeering. Identifying arrest sponsors of electoral offences in Bayelsa, Kogi, Imo, Sarab tells the INEC. You find this on page 27. NAF bombards terrorist stronghold in Borno, kills scores, destroys gun, trucks and others. Appeal court's affirmation of Kailu's election good for Senate and the country. That's according to APC chair. NGE conference, Tinubu and Moka, Oba Igbenya, 300 editors to storm Uyo. Governor Eno is the guest of honor. And also we have cultists kill 5 in Rivers and give conditions for ceasefire. There's also panic grips CBN staff over planned reorganization. And these are some of the stories on the Daily Sun this morning.
All right, so let's take a look at the Blueprint newspaper, where you have the kicker there. Off-circle polls. Amid protests, Uzodinma re-elected, Imo governor and Ododo Kogi governor-elect. You also have Diri leads in Bayelsa, PDP, SDP, LP kick in Imo Kogi. And also you have the next rider there. It's victory well-deserved. Meseko, APC deputy and national publicity scribe. You have all that on page 6. And then above the lead story, you have the above that you have oil production up to 275,000 barrels per day. NNPCL settles Pengerson, total management row, and then you have also Immigration loses 3 in auto crash on Kano Zaria Road. Bandits kill 7, kidnap many in fresh Zamfara attack. Executive legislature collaboration essential for robust fiscal policy. And also court orders reinstatement, payment of NSITF staff's salary arrears. Inflation may hit 30% by December 2023, says KPMG. Tinubu to declare editors' annual confab open. And then you have Israeli-Hamas war. Arab Islamic nations condemn military offensive. These are the main stories on the Blueprint newspaper.
Right now, we have Suleiman Ubangaya, the CEO of Sky Limit Media Group, editor and former deputy president of Nigerian Guilds of Editors, joining us to discuss the front pages. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, so let's start with a story that says bandits kill 7 and kidnapped many in fresh Zamfara attack. And also in front of the Daily Trust newspaper, we saw Matawale saying, without my actions, North would have been on fire. I mean, considering that we have been seeing reoccurrence of insecurity in the northeastern region, do you think that's a bold statement, something that he could say that yes, I actually did something for my region?
I think it's a joke taken too far as far as I am concerned. Bello Matole, the immediate first governor of Zamfara State, has performed abysmally low, I mean, in terms of taming insecurity in the backwater state of Zamfara. He left a legacy of serious ruination. A lot of damage was done in terms of management of security in Zamfara. And he left a lot of problems that the present governor is grappling with. So I do not see why or what he means by saying the North would have been on fire if he had not taken certain measures. Of course, he did make reference to some measures he has taken, like the shutting down of communication and the other thing. But has that resulted in any positive outcome? It did not. So he doesn't have any right, honestly, as far as the reality on ground is concerned, to make such an outlandish claim.
I mean, if anything, is the North even really not on fire right now? Because, I mean, if we are to do an assessment of the situation right now, security-wise, it's not as if the North is the safest place to be today in Nigeria. Yeah. Traveling along the roads, you would understand, what it means, for people who travel every now and then, and all the stories that we hear about people being kidnapped, schools being raided, and large number of students being abducted and so on. It doesn't show any sign that, there is safety and security in the North.
And let's not forget new emergence of bandits, different bandits group coming out to make attacks. Also, there is this attack on, say, celebrities, major stakeholders in the North who, especially the Northerners, feel that they are not outspoken when it comes to this kind of things. And also there is that anger of saying that the president should not even in the first place have given Matawale, the Minister for Defense. So what's your take on all of this?
Honestly, I think the rhythm has to do with politics. There was the PI initially that the Supreme Court may end up asking for a rerun. And I think the president, from pillars we have in the bill, that he felt he needed some politicians around him. Matole, of course, let me say the APC was able to deliver in Zamfara State for President Tinubu. So he probably felt he needed Matole in case there will be a rerun. Otherwise, there is no reason whatsoever for such a person whose performance is completely poor to be appointed to a key ministry like the Ministry of Defense. And that is even the most surprising, because of course Matole can be appointed a minister for any reason, especially political, but appointing him specifically to the Ministry of Defense is the most ridiculous of things. Only the president can explain that, and I think he owes Nigerians explanation as to why he appointed someone being accused left, right and center of exaggerating insecurity as Minister of Defense.
Do you think the people are also to be blamed for this, of not speaking enough, to be listened by these leaders?
Sorry, I didn't get
Do you think Nigerians, Northerners, are not speaking enough on
Yeah.
what is happening?
Definitely. I think the issue now is people are really afraid to even come out to say it out. That is on one part. On the other part, people are grappling with the realities of everyday existence in Nigeria. There is a lot of poverty. A lot of people are grappling with the reality of making ends meet, having something to, fend for themselves and for their families. So they hardly have time to engage in such, in saying the truth, in telling the truth to power. In informing the federal government that what you have done is wrong and that there is need for a review, especially as far as certain appointments like that of Matola are concerned.
Okay, now let's talk about another story here which has been muted. Well, not muted, it has been echoed by the president, and we've seen steps in the National Assembly in that regard, talking about constitutional role for traditional rulers. So at the 70th birthday of one of the traditional rulers, the president, represented by Tunji Ojo, was quoted, that's the Minister of Interior, was quoted to have said, that he is going to ensure that, there's constitutional role for traditional rulers. Now, what do you make of this, and what role are we talking about here?
For me, it is an idea whose time has really come. The traditional rulers have been playing very key roles in terms of ensuring stability in our, localities. For example, talking about intelligence, it's only with intelligence that you will be able to curtail insecurity. And I did mention here, the last time I featured on this program, that by the global standards, 60% of role in terms of intelligence gathering should be borne by the society. And that can only be driven by the traditional rulers who are the conscience of the society. So as it is now, the Constitution doesn't give them any specific role. They are just there, being managed by the system.
But in some way, some traditional rulers are led to be complicit sometimes, even with the whole issue of security, in the country. In Zamfara, I recall some traditional rulers were suspended, for being complicit.
Yeah, that is true, but that does not remove from the fact that the overwhelming majority of the traditional rulers are still the conscience of our society doing what is right. And talking about the Zamfara monarchs that have been either suspended or deposed a few years ago, at least we can say that certain action has been taken against them. It is not that they have been left on their job to continue to sabotage the society. So at least something has been done, and majority of the traditional rulers are doing what is right. So I do not think that is enough reason for us not to give them, not assign constitutional responsibilities to them.
But don't you think that is what got us to this point? I mean, while growing up, we saw the power the traditional rulers were holding, where even when a president or a governor should go there is massive respect for these people. Do you know that they control the crowd? People are with them. They have the people's interest at heart. But then all of a sudden, they started getting paid, where, according to the Constitution, even a councillor is above a traditional ruler. Don't you think that is what got us here, and we're actually heading to more, I want to be in more of a political space and all that?
Yes, you are right. The traditional rulers, honestly, there are, I think, principally two issues there. One is politicization of the monarchy system in Nigeria. We have seen appointments of people that are not traditionally fit to hold certain traditional responsibilities, yet been appointed because of one political reason or the other. The other one has to do with the conduct of certain traditional rulers themselves. Unfortunately, as my brother here is trying to point out, some of them have not lived up to expectation. Their performance has been hugely disappointing. So I think these are some of the reasons why there is a lot of, that aura, is largely lost. So we no longer see the traditional institution in the kind of, with the kind of reverence that it used to hold, as you rightly pointed out years back.
All right. Well, before we round up the show, I know we still have a few more minutes to go. I'd like for us to talk, even though on a sad note, but I would like for us to talk a little more about the legacies of the veteran actor Usman Baba Patigi, popularly known as Samanja. We all recall his times, in those days on NTA, where you watch him delight viewers, with his, acts and all that. Very comic, way, of displaying his acts and all that. What do you say about his person, the person of Samanja, Mazam Farmer, as they say? That's the name of the show. What do you recall about his person, and what can you say about the legacies that he's leaving for even the theater, acting, and the movie industry as we have it now?
Well, first of all, it's a very profound loss, not only for the arts industry in Nigeria, but for every sector of the Nigerian society. Samanja Madampama left a legacy that can be very difficult to replicate. He left a shoe that will be difficult to be filled, and one of his legacies, for example, is I read an article of someone talking about a turbulence on an air flight returning to Nigeria from Medina. There was serious turbulence, and a lot of people were losing hope, thinking there was going to be an air crash. And Samanja was one of the stabilizing factors on that flight, trying to encourage people to be stable and to reassure them that nothing was going to happen. And indeed, nothing happened. So he left a legacy that is very, very difficult to fill. And of course, when we were kids growing up in different, especially northern societies, it was part of Samanja's legacies that he inculcated in us the love for the military. A lot of people that are in the military who have become generals, some are still serving, some have retired, or their membership of that institution to Samanja's roles, always trying to project the military in a very positive way.
Let's not forget the mustache that he always carries.
Exactly.
His signature mustache.
His signature mustache, yeah. In a comic way, he really projected not just the military, but the security services in a very positive way. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Lessons for up-and-coming artists, or I would say actors of today. Someone was describing him as someone who was not pushed into drama but because of money, per se, but someone who just was passionate and just wanted to get an opportunity to show people what it means, and to delight people and so on. So, but if you look at, some of us young people in these days, the whole idea of going into the act is not driven by passion per se, but just to make money.
And that is why it is very difficult for the present generation of artists, to leave the kind of legacy a patriot like Samanja bequeaths to the rest of us. Because this thing about pecuniary interest, once it is a driving factor in any profession, you find that a lot of gaps are going to be created. And that is what is happening now. A lot of gaps, you see a lot of unprofessional acts. And just simply because the whole idea is money, and you can be assigned any role, whether it fits you or not, in as much as the right amount is there, no matter your reputation, you take over the role, or whether you can interpret it very well or not. These are the kind of things. But in the days of Samanja, it was professionalism at work. it was entirely positive, the way they projected the society, the way they projected different segments of the society is something we will continue to live with and to be anti-held them for.
All right. Well, it's a good place to end the discussion this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning and sharing your perspective with us as always. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's Suleiman Obangaya, CEO, Sky Limits Media Group. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, for our viewers who are watching, perhaps you could recall, if you may, you could write down in the comment section, if you're on social media, moments you remember about the veteran actor Samanja, as we all know it. I'm sure if I call his name Usman Baba, particularly many people may not reckon with that name, but if you say Samanja, many people remember Samanja Mazamfama. You remember names like Kotokore, you know, remember names like Mutu Adole and so on. These are names that we grew up hearing on TV, on the NT and all that. It was a great delight, really, and I believe that he will be greatly missed. And our prayers and our hearts are with his family and his relatives.